As technology progresses, scientists are increasingly focused on shrinking the size of everything. Just 20 years ago, computers used to fill entire rooms. Now they fit in your pocket. In fact, you're probably watching this video on a device that's either on your lap or right in the palm of your hand. Which proves one thing: my girlfriend was right all along. Bigger isn't always better, especially when it comes to these 10 incredibly tiny man-made creations. Number 10. The Zanco Tiny T1. Mobile phones came on the scene back in the early 1980s, but those prehistoric behemoths were a far cry from the sleek handheld devices we know today. One of the first ever cell phones, the Motorola Dynatic 8000X, weighed a whopping 1.75 pounds and stood 13 inches. More than 30 years later, the average iPhone is about 1/10 the weight and less than half the size. Today, the world's smallest phone is currently the fun-sized Zanco Tiny T1. At about the size and shape of a domino, it can still execute all of a cell phone's standard features, such as calling, texting, and storing contacts. Though it's still in the development process, it's projected to cost just $50 when released, a pretty small price for an even smaller phone. Whilst people are quick to call the Tiny T1 cute, its cheap price and diminutive proportions make it a good choice for prisoners, spies, and criminals, as it's so easy to smuggle. Number 9. The Swiss Mini Gun. The doll-sized Swiss minigun made a huge move in the media when it first appeared at arms fairs several years ago. At 5.5 centimeters long and 3.5 centimeters tall, it holds the Guinness World Record as the smallest functioning revolver on the planet. It has all the functions of a real gun and fires 2.34 millimeters caliber bullets, which are just a little bit thicker than an uncooked piece of spaghetti. The gun comes with a carrying holster that fits on a belt loop and is often regarded as a harmless trinket or cute keychain. However, it's actually a fully certified weapon. Is it harmless? How? Hardly. The Swiss minigun is illegal in many countries because the bullets are basically untraceable. Imagine, for example, trying to find a small bead in a shag carpet. For these reasons, the Swiss minigun has been outlawed in many countries, as it would actually make a dangerous and untraceable murder weapon to anyone who could actually manage to use it. I think most hardened criminals would be a little embarrassed to carry around one of these, though. Number 8. World's smallest bicycle. As our transportation needs evolve and more people strive to reduce their carbon footprint by cycling to work, more and more bike companies have started designing smaller and smaller bikes that can be folded or even put into a backpack and carried into work. Perhaps as a joke at the expense of these microbikes, or even just as a playful experiment, a cycling enthusiast in Russia designed and built this extremely small bicycle. Though the bike measures a merely few inches, its functionality is more impressive. Despite the fact that it's smaller than the shoe of its cyclist, all of its parts work perfectly together to propel the bike forward with every pedal. This takes an astounding amount of balance and flexibility on the part of the operator, but you have to wonder if it's just a little too small. Whilst it's not the most time-effective way to commute to work, riding it is certainly no small feat. Number 7. Vehicles. When you think of vehicles, you think of rather large machines, powerful enough to take us long distances. But you may be surprised to hear that the smallest aircraft and cars aren't much larger than an average human. In fact, the world's smallest aircraft is only 8 foot 10 inches or 2.69 meters long. Called the Bumblebee 2, it has a wingspan of 5 feet and 6 inches, which is 1.68 meters. When empty, it can accommodate one person and weighs just under 180 kilograms. The smallest roadworthy car, on the other hand, looks just like a kid's ride on toy. Created by Austin Colson from America, it had to be registered and inspected to qualify as a roadworthy vehicle. Austin needed to install a number of required safety features, including federally approved safety glass for the windshield, functioning windshield wipers, Department of Transportation approved signal lights, a seatbelt, and working horn. Number 6. Insect-size RoboBee drone. These days, there's a real buzz around drone technology, with Amazon testing delivery drones and the military waging war with unmanned aerial vehicles. The sky seems to be the limit for these new flying automatons. Inspired by the biology of a housefly, the RoboBee first took off in 2007. At about the size of a penny, the RoboBee is virtually undetectable while in action and can dive into water, swim, and even propel itself back out again. While Harvard developers are saying it's intended to be used in search and rescue missions, we all know that the big money lies in its military applications. Whether that's spying or as toolkit, the U.S. Army has been operating near-silent predator drones through the night skies of Pakistan and Afghanistan for years. But it looks like the dangers of drone technology might be coming closer to home. A bill passed in 2012 now permits the use of police drones in U.S. airspace, a little-known measure that poses the risk of endless violations of privacy. Gatwick Airport in the UK was closed for days after a renegade drone was repeatedly seen above the runway. And whilst the RoboBee is still in development stages, scientists have admitted that the end goal is to create a fully autonomous swarm of flying robots. Sound familiar? It's almost identical to the fictional technology described in the Black Mirror episode, entitled Hated in the Nation, in which drone bees swarm together on extended killing sprees. So, whilst drones are getting smaller and smaller, the same cannot be said for their increasingly frightening capabilities. Number 5. Art in a needle's eye. An often quoted Bible verse says, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." But Russian artist Nikolai Aldinin has fit not just one camel, but 7, as well as 3 palm trees, into a needle's eye. The miraculous work is just one of his many microscopic masterpieces. Nikolai, who must work by the beat of his own heart in order to keep his hands perfectly still, is known for his minuscule sculptures that rest easily on tiny objects. To craft his masterpieces, he trades traditional artist tools for syringes and tiny droplets of superglue. This artisan has even managed to put horseshoes in a saddle on a flea and carve a T-34 tank the size of an apple seed out of pure gold. With artworks this small, though, he has to be careful not to lose them, and once wasted 2 weeks of work when he misplaced a sculpture of an AK-47, a very intricate sculpture made of 34 different parts, and that sat comfortably on a match head, unfortunately for all you art lovers. Those wishing to properly view his pieces in all their glory will need to enlist the help of a microscope. Number 4. Microscopic Mini Novel. If you like a bit of light reading, you'll love Teeny Ted from Turniptown. At 30 pages long, this microscopic book can fit onto a human hair and is in the Guinness Book of Records as the smallest book in existence, as it measures only 70 by 100 micrometers, or about the same size as a particle of dust. Printing it was no small task. Using crystalline silicone, its creators Malcolm and Robert Chaplin from Canada needed to borrow their university's ion beam electron microscope in order to produce the novel. In all, the book cost a whopping $15,000 just to print. But if you're interested in reading the story to find out what exactly happens to Teeny Ted, you'll need a little help. In fact, nothing except the most high-powered scientific microscopes can provide the magnification you need to read it. As far as I know, though, it's a short story for kids about a talking turnip, which is a pretty unusual thing to be at the forefront of scientific innovation. Number 3. The Mini Lisa. Sure, everyone knows the Mona Lisa, but have you heard of the Mini Lisa? Her microscopic clone, created by a team of scientists at the Georgia Institute of Technology, 30 microns across, less than half the thickness of a human hair, created using thermochemical nanolithography. Its creation was part of an effort to explore the limits and applications of a new wonder material called graphene. Future hopes for graphene extend far beyond the microscopic recreations of classical paintings. Because graphene is only 1 atom thick and somehow 100 times stronger than steel, it's a potential game changer in the world of technology. If you think it sounds a little like something from a superhero movie, you're not too far off. Discovered just a decade ago, graphene is claimed to be the strongest material in the world and has the potential to make fictional inventions like Tony Stark's armor a reality in the not-so-distant future. Potential uses include the ability to charge a phone in a mere 5 seconds, lightning-fast internet, unbreakable screens, and many other potential uses that would make anyone smile with excitement, even Mona Lisa herself. Number 2. The Nanoguitar. Feel like playing a little tune. Manufactured by researchers at Cornell University in an effort to experiment with how small mechanical devices can be made, the Nanoguitar is the world's tiniest instrument. Smaller than even a single cell, the Nanoguitar measures a mere 10 micrometers. In comparison, the smallest string on a standard guitar has a diameter of 0.254 millimeters, which is well over 20 times the size of the Nanoguitar's entire body. Though it might be a little difficult to play, it's perfect for renditions of Tiny Dancer or Disney's timeless classic, It's a Small World. Number 1. World's Smallest Snowman. At Western University's nanofabrication facility, researcher Todd Simpson accidentally created the world's smallest snowman while working on isolating silica spheres. But technically, it's not a snowman. It's made from silica, not snow. To give you an idea of its size, a single snowflake is 593 times larger than this tiny figure. Simpson used an ion beam to craft the snowman's features, growing its nose and arms by depositing platinum and carving its eyes and mouth with the same beam. The entire snowman stands at just 3 micrometers tall, which is half the size of the faces produced by dust mites, creatures invisible to the naked eye. To put it in perspective, you could line up 25,000 of these snowmen across the width of a human hair. Obviously, no carrot is small enough for this Jack Frost's nose. As nanotechnology continues to advance at an incredible pace, it makes us wonder, what's the next big thing in the microscopic world? But does size really matter? And shouldn't we be focusing on nano art that's too small to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And thanks for watching.